Welcome back. Once again, it's your boy Abdul, the Health Man. I'm here with another great video here on the Grown Folks Podcast on Sunday nights, 9 Eastern. Today we have another topic I want to talk about. This topic came up and it really made me think about it. It's H. pylori infections. H. pylori infection. Helicobacter pylori infections. And why H. pylori infection? Because it seems like everybody nowadays has a stomach problem. It seems like everybody's dealing with H. pylori. And I just wanted to address what to do. What is H. pylori infection? What is the problem? All those things. How can you fight it off? All those things like that. So, what is H. pylori? As always, I always go to the mayoclinic.org. Okay. H. pylori infections occur when H. pylori bacteria infects your stomach. This usually happens during childhood. A common cause of ulcers, stomach ulcers, peptic ulcers, H. pylori infections may be present in more than half of the people in the world, okay? Most people don't realize they have H. pylori infections because they never get sick from it. If you develop signs and symptoms of a peptic ulcer, your healthcare provider will probably test you for H. pylori infections. A H. pylori ulcer is a sore on the lining of the stomach, gastro-ulcer, or a part of the small intestine, that's the duodenum ulcer, okay? Symptoms of H. pylori infections, okay? Most people with H. pylori infections will never have any signs or symptoms. It's not clear why many people don't have symptoms, but some people may be born with a resistance to the harmful effects of H. pylori. When signs or symptoms do occur with H. pylori infections, they are typically related to gastritis or peptic ulcer and may include an ache or a burning pain in your abdominal or in your stomach. Stomach pain that may be worse when your stomach is empty. That means when you're not full, when you're actually on an empty stomach, you have a lot of pain. Nausea. Loss of appetite comes when you have H. pylori infections. Frequent burping, bloating, unintentional weight loss. Okay? Those are some of the symptoms of H. pylori. Now I'm going to give you some of the causes. H. pylori infection occurs when H. pylori bacteria infects your stomach. And we're going to explain this. H. pylori bacteria are usually passed from person to person through direct contact with saliva, vomit, or stool. H. pylori may also be spread through contaminated food or water. The exact way H. pylori causes gastritis and peptic ulcer is still unknown. Okay. So we're going to go a little bit into the complications of H. pylori. I know I hear somebody. All right. The complications of H. pylori. And then we're going to talk a little bit about it because this is very important because so many people have H. pylori problems. Complications associated with H. pylori. H. pylori can damage the protective lining of the stomach and the small intestines. This can allow the stomach acid to create an open sore or ulcer. About 10% of the people with H. pylori develop ulcers. H. pylori infections can affect the stomach and cause irritation and swelling, gastritis, and it causes inflammation of the stomach lining. H. pylori infections is a strong risk factor for certain types of stomach cancer. So if you have H. pylori, it's a greater chance you can develop stomach cancer. A peptic ulcer, and this is from H. pylori, a peptic ulcer is a sore in the lining of your stomach, a small intestines, or the esophagus. A peptic ulcer is a a peptic ulcer in the stomach is called a gastric ulcer. A duodenum ulcer is a peptic ulcer that develops in the first part of the intestines, duodenum, okay? And esophageal ulcer occurs in the lower part of the esophagus. So that is what H. pylori, the causes, the symptoms of H. pylori. And like I said, I really want to go in this. Now, if anybody who's ever had H. pylori, they know it is a monster to kill. It is a monster to get rid of. It is so difficult to get rid of. Okay? Now, let's talk about why is H. pylori so difficult to get rid of. H. pylori is buried in the stomach mucosa. Okay? It is very difficult to get rid of because it buries itself. H. pylori buries itself in your stomach mucosal lining. Okay? It buries itself in its stomach mucosal lining. So when you use certain antibiotics to help get rid of H. pylori, it is buried in the actual epithelial cells of the stomach lining. Number two, why H. pylori is extremely hard to get rid of. Extremely hard to get rid of. H. pylori has a flagella on there. This is like a long tail, if you want to say. This allows it to hold tight onto the epithelial cells. It buries itself, and think of it almost having spikes. Let's use that analogy. It has spikes, and it grips onto the epithelial cell. It buries in the mucosal lining, and it grips onto the epithelial cells of the stomach lining, of the stomach. Okay? So this is why it is extremely extremely difficult to get rid of it. It goes deep, and it grips, and it holds on. It holds on. Not only that, let me tell you how bad this bacteria is. How it's so adaptive, if you want to say, to living in your stomach. What do we produce in our stomach when we're eating? We produce hydrochloric acid. We produce hydrochloric acid. Nature has found a way over thousands and thousands of years to learn how to protect us. And one of the ways it goes about doing this is when you ingest food, you create enzymes in the mouth and antimicrobial substances in the mouth to help break down bacteria and viruses. And then when it gets down to the stomach, it says anything that hasn't been killed in the mouth, we're going to kill it in the gut. And how are we going to kill it? We're going to give it in an environment that is super low on the pH scale. That's a pH of 2 or 1. We're going to secrete one of the strongest acids nature makes, and that is hydrochloric acid. Very strong acid. That drops the pH down to a 2 or a 1. That allows our body to denature and break down proteins and kill microbes, parasites, bacteria, viruses that may be in our food. That's what it does. It also stimulates pepsin to be secreted to digest protein. Hydrochloric acid has two properties. For us, makes our body stimulate pepsin to digest protein and kill all the bacteria, viruses, and parasites that we may consume in our body. That's why you secrete hydrochloric acid. Now, what does H. pylori do? H. pylori says, first and foremost, I'm going to embed myself in the mucosal wall. And I'm going to hold on with dear life. Okay? Why does it embed itself in the mucosal wall? The same reason why your stomach coats itself in the mucus. It protects itself from hydrochloric acid. When you go inside the stomach naturally secretes mucus. That mucus coats the stomach lining and prevents it from getting burned from the actual hydrochloric acid. You following me here? You following me? I hope you understand what I'm saying. It beds itself in the mucosal wall, so it prevents the actual hydrochloric acid from getting to it. That's number one. It beds itself in that mucosa. That mucus is swimming in there. Oh, yeah, you ain't getting me, baby. You ain't getting me, baby. That's what it's doing. It's swimming in there. You ain't getting me. It's holding on for dear life. And to even protect itself more, check this out. When the bacteria embeds itself and you eat some food and your body starts to secrete, as your body starts to secrete hydrochloric acid, H. pylori bacteria creates bicarbonates. The bacteria starts to secrete bicarbonates. Now, what did we talk about last time when we talked about kidney function and how alkaline acidity works? What neutralizes acid? Alkalinity. What is a bicarbonate? It's an alkaline substance. So not only does H. pylori embeds itself inside of the mucosal lining of the gut, of the stomach, and it holds on for dear life, when you eat food and your body secretes acid, the H. pylori even protects itself more by secreting bicarbonates to alkaline the area around it to protect it from the acid even more. That's what H. pylori does, and that's why it's so hard to kill. Not only does it embed itself in the mucosal lining, not only does it hold on for dear life, it secretes a bicarbonate that prevents the hydrochloric acid that possibly could get to it. It secretes bicarbonate, so just in case the hydrochloric acid can get to it, the H. pylori alkalines the environment around it, say, no, you can't get to me. You can't get to me. That's why H. pylori is so hard to kill. That's why people who get H. pylori infections kept getting reoccurring H. pylori infections. It's one of the most difficult bacteria to kill because it encases itself in an alkaline environment. H. pylori encases itself in an alkaline environment. And it encases itself in mucus. So when you're trying to kill this bacteria, you have to go through almost three layers to even get to it, and the cell wall is different. This is not the typical cell wall of most bacteria. It's a fatty cell wall. It's a lipid cell wall. It has a sugar in the lipid cell wall. Make it much more difficult to penetrate. This bacteria has learned how to survive in an acidic environment. Do you understand? It has a lipid cell wall. The cell wall is not your typical cell wall that you find of E. coli. It has encased itself in fat, if you want to say. It has fats in that cell wall. You know how hard it is to kill something when you can't even attack it with the acid? Your stomach takes in, your body consumes H. pylori. It finds a home in the stomach. Well, most bacteria will die. Most bacteria will die in the stomach because of that low pH. But H. pylori embeds itself in the mucosal lining. I want y'all to understand that this is why. So when you have a conversation with someone and you ask somebody, why is H. pylori, why do you keep getting H. pylori infections? Why do you keep getting these stomach infections? This H. pylori. You now understand why it's hard to get rid of it. It embeds itself in the mucosal lining. Okay? Why is it that's important? Because the mucosal lining is the same lining that protects your stomach from stomach acid. So it goes and embeds itself in that mucosal lining. It has these flagellas that hold on to the mucosal lining. Think of them as hooks. They like to hold on to the mucosal lining. You ain't knocking them off. You ain't vomiting them out. They bed themselves on. They hold on to it. Okay? So that's the second thing. You embed them. Third of all, when you secrete acid, it embeds itself in an alkaline environment so the acid can't kill it. When you secrete acid to kill it, it creates bicarbonates to neutralize the acid, and it puts itself in an alkaline environment. And number 4, it's a lipid-based cell wall. And acids don't burn fats that well. Acids don't mess with fats that well. Certain antibiotics can't penetrate that cell wall because of that. So now, you got why H. pylori bacteria is so difficult to kill. All right? You understand why H. pylori is so difficult to kill. Now, as we talked about H. pylori, what treatments can you use for H. pylori right now? First and foremost, they give you a breath test. If you ever get H. pylori, you have to breathe in this little contraction, and they can actually it's a gas that's secreted from H. pylori, and they can actually get a little bit of the debris from H. pylori, and they can detect that you have H. pylori bacteria just from breathing in this like a little machine. You breathe right into it, and you go blow, and they can find out you have H. pylori. There's antibiotics you could use to treatment the H. pylori. You could use clarithromycin, okay? You could use amoxicillin. You could use metronidazole, metronidazole. That's another antibiotic right now that you can use to help kill H. pylori. The problem is it requires 2 to 3 of these antibiotics at one time to kill it. And you need a proton pump inhibitor. You need to reduce the acid and use anywhere from a cocktail of 2 to 3 different antibiotics to have a chance of killing H. pylori by 60%. I didn't say 80%. I didn't say 90%. I didn't say 100%. I said 60%. That means you only have a 60% chance while taking a proton pump inhibitor and taking 2 to 3 antibiotics at the same time to kill H. pylori, a 60% chance. H. pylori is very difficult to kill. And is becoming more and more antibiotic resistant. It's becoming more and more antibiotic resistant. And when you do these multiple antibiotics with a proton pump inhibitor, you kill off the friendly bacteria that also can keep the H. pylori bacteria under control. So you can kill it, but the possibility of it coming back is great because the area that will also keep the H. pylori there, the area that hosts the H. pylori also hosts other bacteria, probiotics that's friendly to your gut, that fight for the same space that H. pylori does. You kill them off. And the H. pylori, if it's not all gone, you have given it more real estate. you have given it more real estate. Because the antibiotics just killed off his competition. It may have killed most of the H. pylori, but what it did do for sure is kill off his competition. So if it's 2 of them brothers left over, if it's 5 of them left over, but their competition, the whole block is empty now. Now we can take over the whole block. Before we only had 2 houses or 3 houses. Now we own the whole block. And that's the problem with the antibiotics when it comes down to H. pylori. They may do a great job sometimes, but they kill off the competition and allow them to come back even stronger. Okay? So there are antibiotics you can use right now. These are cocktail of antibiotics you can use right now to deal with H. pylori infections, but you kill off the competition. And if they do not get rid of all the H. pylori bacteria, it will grow back even worse. So, what can you do if you have H. pylori infection? Now, we just talked about probiotics. This is very important. We did the video on probiotics. We did the podcast on probiotics. The differences in probiotics and the difference in strains, difference in species, the different cultures of probiotics, all these things like that. We talked about that at length, so you understand. So taking a probiotic will help. But there's certain species or strains of bacteria that you want to deal with. And some of them may not even be bacteria. You have a bacteria or a probiotic out there that's extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori infection, and that is called Saccharomyces boulardii. Saccharomyces boulardii. Okay? This is a probiotic. S.Boulardii. Okay? Boulardii. This is actually a spore type of probiotic. What they have found in double-blind, randomized placebo studies, that people who take this particular probiotic, it helps them with their H. pylori infections. And why is that? This spore probiotic has an affinity for acid environments, and it loves to push out H. pylori bacteria. It loves to push out H. pylori bacteria. Boulardii. So if you look, S. dot means Saccharomyces. Staphylococci boulardii. Okay? Boulardii. Boulardii. S. Boulardii. This is the probiotic that's extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori bacteria. Not all probiotics have the same results when they come down to dealing with H. pylori. Okay? So that's why I'm giving you specific names that have been shown to have an effect on H. pylori. Lactobacilli reuteri. Okay? L.REUTERI. Reuteri. That's what it is. Okay? That's an excellent probiotic for dealing with H. pylori bacteria. It's another one that loves the spots that H. pylori love to live in. It is like, that bacteria is like, I don't know, it's like a bulldozer. It's like a bulldozer. And H. pylori house is a junk house. And it comes over and say, you know what? You don't need to be here. I'm going to bulldoze you out of here. That's what the H. pylori, that's what that specific bacteria does. It bulldozes H. pylori bacteria out of the gut. And this is extremely important. And I want y'all to understand why this is extremely important. Because we're going to connect. What is one of the issues that we have when dealing with H. pylori infections? Is that it digs itself in the mucosal wall. And do what? It has these hooks, if you want to say, flagella, that likes to bind to the epithelial cells of the stomach. It holds on tight. And if it holds on tight, a regular bacteria can't knock it off. You need someone who's going to bulldoze it. You got to get out of here. You have to leave. And if you want to stay, I need to bulldoze you out. So that lactobacilli is specifically designed for that. And that Staphylococci boulardii is specifically designed for that. It loves the same areas H. pylori love to grow in. And it has nothing against bulldozing it out the way. And not only that, the lactobacilli loves the area, and it also secretes acid. It also makes acid. What do we say H. pylori does when you secrete acid? What does it do? It creates a bicarbonate to neutralize the acid. When we secrete our hydrochloric acid, so H. pylori loves to live in an environment that's alkaline. But guess what happens when all its neighbors around them are acidic? It makes the environment unfriendly for the H. pylori. And when you take these two type of probiotics, it makes the environment unfriendly for the H. pylori. And the last one is Lactobacilli rhamnosus, GG, specifically GG, because that's a K-side form of it. Lactobacillus rhamnosus. Listen, L.RHAMNOSUS. I want you to find that. I'm spelling these out for you so you understand what specific ones. I didn't say acidophilus. Acidophilus will help. I didn't say acidophilus. I'm giving you specific ones that has been clinically shown to help with H. pylori infections. Okay? I didn't say the ones for the colon. I didn't say brevi. I didn't say infantitis. I gave you rhamnosus, GG, if you can find that specific strain. This is another one who loves the environment that H. pylori lives in. It loves the environment. It's another one that's in the lactobacilli family who love the specific environment that H. pylori lives in. And it loves to push them out. These bacteria are bullies for the H. pylori. They don't play that with H. pylori. They love to beat on H. pylori. They love to beat on H. pylori. Okay? So these probiotics are specifically designed for that. Okay? Now, let's get into the nutrients that can help you with H. pylori and the herbs that can help you with H. pylori. Are y'all ready for this? I'm kind of going through this a little fast, but herbs that can help. We talked about probiotics. Hold on. Before we go into probiotics, the herbs. You should be, if you're dealing with H. pylori bacteria, you should be taking a few supplements. There are a few supplements you could take. You can take a multiple vitamin. You can take a vitamin D. You can take an extra B complex. And you definitely should be taking an iron. I say all this why? You say, Anthony, why I got to take all that? That's a lot. Usually people who have H. pylori problems, they start to have issues with their digestion, and they're starting to have issues with nutrient absorption. That's why. Specifically B12, vitamin D, and iron. Specifically B12, vitamin D, and iron. B12 is because of you need a intrinsic factor that comes from the stomach that has to do with acidity from the stomach. And that is affected when you have H. pylori bacteria. Same with iron. You need hydrochloric acid to free iron. You need hydrochloric acid to free iron. When you're dealing with H. pylori, you usually can sometimes have low acidity. So you definitely need iron. And they found people who have H. pylori have low vitamin D serums. So those are 3 nutrients you definitely need. Now I say do a B complex so you get all the Bs, because of the simple fact that when you are having digestive issues, you want to make sure you're getting enough nutrition in. So you want to do basically a multiple vitamin, at least a B complex, vitamin D, and iron supplement. And that will help you making sure you do not become nutrient deficient. Also, you can consume your fruits and vegetables. Your berries are excellent. Your bananas are excellent. Your greens are excellent. But we're going to go into the herbs and all those other things and the foods that also will help. Now, herbs that can help with H. pylori. Number 1, mastic gum. Mastic gum. M-A-S-T-I-C, gum. G-U-M. Mastic gum. Mastic gum has these triparatic acid. I've got to remember the acid. But mastic gum has I think triparatic acid or something like that. That's extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori. Okay? Mastic gum. Extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori. Now, why is mastic gum really, really effective? Mastic is triterpenic acids. These acids help kill H. pylori bacteria. These acids help kill H. pylori bacteria. And it can work as low as 500 milligrams. Now, if you are taking mastic gum and you want to get the best effects for mastic gum, take 1,000 milligrams twice a day. That's 2,000 milligrams a day. Take 1,000 milligrams twice a day. Mastic gum is possibly the best supplement that you can take at this present time we know of naturally that can help deal with H. pylori bacteria. Now, while you're doing this, you're still doing this in combination with the probiotics I talked about earlier. But mastic gum, M-A-S-T-I-C, gum, G-U-M, is the number 1 product for dealing with H. pylori infections. Number 2 is Manuka honey. That's right, taking a spoonful of Manuka honey every day can help you with H. pylori infections. Not only is Manuka honey anti-inflammatory, and if you know you're dealing with H. pylori infections, you have a great chance of having an ulcer. You have a great chance of having gastritis. You have a great chance of having heartburn and things like that. Well, Manuka honey is anti-inflammatory. Manuka honey will cool your gastrointestinal tract. It will reduce the inflammation. And Manuka honey is antimicrobial. It kills bacteria. And it can kill H. pylori. Manuka honey can kill H. pylori. Even though H. pylori shields itself as good as you can as a bacteria, Manuka honey, mastic gum, can help kill those bacteria. So taking a spoonful of Manuka honey every day would assist. I would try to look at 400 MCOs every day. At least 400 plus MCOs every day. That's the strength of the Manuka honey. You could get it higher, but at least 400. You could get 250 that weeks or 260 that even help. 250 that even help. Manuka honey. Great herb, licorice root. Great herb, licorice root. Now, why licorice root? Licorice root has an acid in there called diglyceride, something like that. I gotta remember the name. It starts with a D. Diglyceride. Yeah, DGL. What is it? DGL is diglyceride licorice extract. So diglyceride. So it has an acid in there. Oh man, I can't. I drew a blank right there. I shouldn't have took that water. Let me look it up while I'm doing it. But DGL or licorice root is extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori infections. Hold on, let me just look this up for y'all real fast. Why is it not allowing me to type? I want to make sure I'm right before I say I say the wrong thing. What is DGL? Oh, it doesn't even tell me. Diglyceride. Yeah, like glyceride licorice. Yeah, diglyceride licorice. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure I was correct. So licorice root is extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori. It can help deactivate and kill H. pylori in large amounts. So you always want to use DGL because licorice itself can raise your blood pressure. Okay? So licorice itself can raise your blood pressure. So do DGL, diglycerated licorice root. This is extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori. Fourth thing, broccoli sprouts. Broccoli sprouts. Now, broccoli itself is extremely effective. Broccoli sprouts are even better. Broccoli sprouts have a lot of sulforaphane in there. Sulforaphane can kill H. pylori. Sulforaphane can kill H. pylori. And broccoli sprouts have a huge amount because you need large amounts of it. So broccoli sprouts are really good. Green tea helps deactivate H. pylori. Green tea helps kill off H. pylori. Okay? So drinking green tea every day is very effective for dealing with H. pylori. Garlic. Now, somebody had me and LaToya was talking earlier, and we was talking about garlic. I was saying I may have a little sore throat and everything. I got a little sore throat, and I've been using garlic, and it's been clearing up. That and philodendron I've been using. But garlic in itself can help kill H. pylori. And why is that? Garlic is a sulfur-rich plant. The same way broccoli sprouts is, garlic does not have sulforaphane, but it also has sulfur molecules involved in that. And these sulfur molecules that's inside of garlic helps kill H. pylori. As well as it also has allicin, a sulfur-based molecule that acts like a natural antibiotic that kills H. pylori. You want to do anywhere between 3 to 6 grams of garlic a day to be effective to kill H. pylori. The same thing with licorice root. You want to do about 3 grams of licorice root every day to be effective for killing H. pylori. Okay? We talked about Manuka honey. Let's talk about bees propolis. Bees propolis. Bees are amazing. They give us a few beautiful things. Bees give us honey. Bees give the queen bee royal jelly. Bees give us bee pollen. And bees also give us something called propolis. Okay? Propolis is a coating in the inside of the honeycomb. Inside of the beehive, they have honeycomb. They have a coating inside inside their beehive called propolis. What is propolis used for? Propolis is a natural antimicrobial that protects the bees inside their home. Propolis kills bacteria. Propolis kills viruses. Propolis keeps out fungi. So the house that the bee built is protecting its young, its queen, and all the other bees inside it by secreting bees' propolis as it makes its hive. Bee propolis, when you consume it, can also kill H. pylori bacteria. Bee propolis. It's a really strong antimicrobial. Black seed. The thimerquinone in black seed oil has been shown to be effective against H. pylori. But it really only works at its best. They found in research it works at its best at 2 grams a day. Not 1 gram, not 3 grams, 2 grams a day with a proton pump inhibitor. So the thimerquinone needs the acid to be lower, reduced acid in the stomach, to allow the black seed to have an effect on the H. pylori. Even when you take the antibiotics, they want you to take a proton pump inhibitor because the antibiotics don't work as effectively without a reduction of the acid in the stomach. So you need a proton pump inhibitor when you're taking antibiotics for for H. pylori. Well, black seed also needs a proton pump inhibitor. The other herbs do not. Black seed works better when you're doing it with an antacid, if you want to say, or a proton pump inhibitor at 2 grams a day. And last but not least is bismuth. Bismuth. What's bismuth? What is bismuth? Okay, I don't know what that is. What does that mean? What is bismuth? Bismuth is a mineral. Bismuth has been shown to deal with stomach problems. Specifically, it helps deal with H. pylori. You may have to find that in a trace mineral. Now you say, Abdul, how the heck we gonna get that? Find a good trace mineral combination, you will find it in there. It also helps. You know how powerful bismuth is for when it comes down to dealing with stomach problems? You take it if you have if you have diarrhea, nausea, diarrhea, nausea, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. It's called Pepto-Bismol. Why do you think they call it Pepto-Bismol? It has a mineral in it called bismuth that is a salt that helps deal with stomach issues. Did I just teach you something? Bismuth is a mineral found in Pepto-Bismol. It's a natural trace mineral that you find in Pepto-Bismol that deals with stomach complaints and has been shown to help deal with the symptoms caused from H. pylori. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you to go drink Pepto-Bismol. I'm sitting here telling you to go find a good trace mineral that has bismol in it or bismuth in it. Bismuth. This is a mineral that's extremely effective for dealing with H. pylori. Could you imagine taking that along with mastic gum and the effects you will get? Or taking that with mastic gum and manuka honey and getting rid of your problems while you're taking your lactobacilli rhamnosus? You taking your lactobacilli reuteria? You taking your streptococci boulardii? You taking those probiotics? And you taking these herbs with it? And you taking that mineral with it? And another great herb I forgot to mention is agromonia. Agromonia patoria. Agromonia, because I got to make sure I get the right one. Agromonia patoria. AGRIMONIA. EUPA I had to specifically give you that name because there's an agrimony out there. It's a different species. It's in the same family. It's not the same one. This one is specifically designed to help kill H. pylori bacteria. And did you know golden seal is also really good in combination when you take it along with mastic gum to help you kill H. pylori bacteria? Golden seal is really, really good for dealing with that. So those are some of the things that it can help you deal with H. pylori bacteria. So now I'm going to open up the floor. Who want to unmute themselves, and we can talk. I'm going to stop recording too.